During the Vietnam War, the United States Navy faced a unique challenge. Their powerful warships dominated the open seas, but the real battle was happening deep inside Vietnam, in the twisting rivers and shallow waters of the Mekong Delta. Here, the enemy moved freely using small boats, avoiding detection and attacking from hidden positions. To fight this new kind of war, the Navy needed a fast, agile, and heavily armed patrol boat. The answer came from an unexpected source: a recreational fishing boat made of fiberglass. This design was quickly transformed into the Patrol Boat Riverine (PBR), a vessel that changed naval warfare forever. PBR crews patrolled dangerous waters, engaging in intense battles and intercepting enemy supply lines. These boats became legendary, and the sailors who operated them were among the bravest in the war. If you enjoy learning about military history, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more stories. When the United States entered the Vietnam War, its military power was unmatched. The U.S. Navy was one of the most advanced forces in the world, with aircraft carriers, destroyers, and amphibious assault ships patrolling the seas. The 7th Fleet, the main naval force in Vietnam, had over 70 warships. However, this powerful fleet had a major weakness. It was designed for deep-sea combat, not for the rivers and canals of Vietnam. The real fight was happening in the Mekong Delta, a massive network of waterways covering over 15,000 square miles. More than half of South Vietnam's population lived here, and the region was vital for food production. The Viet Cong, VC, quickly took control of the delta, using small boats to transport troops and supplies. They moved freely through the waterways, launching surprise attacks and disappearing into the jungle. The South Vietnamese army was unable to stop them, and even when the U.S. Navy arrived, they had no boats suited for river combat. To win the war in the Delta, the Navy needed a new kind of vessel, one that could move fast, navigate shallow waters, and deliver heavy firepower. The U.S. Navy quickly realized that its traditional warships were useless in the Mekong Delta. The rivers were too shallow for large ships, and the dense jungle provided perfect hiding spots for the Viet Cong. The enemy used over 50,000 small boats, including wooden junks and sampans, to transport weapons, food, and soldiers. These boats blended in with civilian traffic, making it nearly impossible to tell friend from foe. The South Vietnamese forces had no way to control this vast network of waterways. They lacked the boats, training, and experience needed for river warfare. Meanwhile, the Viet Cong mastered the delta, turning it into a stronghold. They set up hidden ambushes along the riverbanks, using small arms and rocket-propelled grenades, RPGs, to attack any enemy boats that entered their territory. The situation became critical. Without control of the Mekong Delta, the U.S. and its allies would struggle to stop enemy movements and supply routes. The Navy needed a boat that was small, fast, and heavily armed, a vessel that could maneuver through narrow waterways and engage in quick hit-and-run attacks. The search for a solution led them to an unexpected source: a fiberglass recreational boat used by American fishermen. In 1965, the U.S. Navy issued a request for a small, high-speed patrol boat that could operate in the shallow waters of the Mekong Delta. Surprisingly, the best solution was not a military design, but a fiberglass fishing boat built by the Hatteras Yacht Company in North Carolina. Hatteras had introduced a revolutionary 41-foot fiberglass fishing boat a few years earlier. Fiberglass was lightweight, strong, and resistant to corrosion, making it perfect for river operations. It was also cheap and easy to mass-produce, a key advantage for a military looking to build hundreds of boats quickly. The company's president, Willis Slane, proposed a 28-foot patrol boat powered by water jet pumps instead of traditional propellers. Jet pumps allowed the boat to operate in extremely shallow water, making it ideal for the Mekong Delta's unpredictable depths. The Navy was impressed and ordered 120 boats to be built within 6 months. This new vessel, officially named the Patrol Boat Riverine (PBR Mark I), was about to change the way the U.S. Navy fought in Vietnam. Fast, maneuverable, and heavily armed, it was designed for high-speed chases, quick attacks, and rapid retreats. Mark I was a 31-foot-long boat designed for speed and agility. It was powered by twin 180-horsepower Detroit diesel engines, which allowed it to reach speeds of 25 to 30 knots, about 35 miles per hour. Unlike traditional boats, the PBR used jet propulsion systems made by Jacuzzi Brothers, the same company known for making hot tubs. These jet pumps allowed the boat to operate in just 9 inches of water, making it perfect for Vietnam's shallow rivers. The PBR had extraordinary maneuverability. It could stop in its own length, turn 180 degrees instantly, and even glide over sandbars without damaging its engines. These features gave crews the ability to outrun enemies, evade ambushes, and chase down Viet Cong boats. For firepower, the PBR was well equipped. It typically carried a twin caliber machine gun turret at the front, a rear-mounted caliber machine gun, one or two M60 light machine guns on the sides, an MK 1940mm automatic grenade launcher. The boat's fiberglass hull made it lightweight, but also had an unexpected advantage. Rocket-propelled grenades, RPGs, often failed to detonate on impact. Instead of exploding, they would pass through the boat, reducing the damage. However, the PBR was not heavily armored. Instead of relying on protection, crews used speed and quick reflexes to escape danger. The PBR was built for hit-and-run tactics, making it one of the most feared boats in the war. Despite its impressive speed and firepower, the PBR Mark I had several weaknesses. The fiberglass hull, while lightweight and resistant to corrosion, was easily damaged by bullets, debris, and even rough contact with sandbanks. Bullet holes allowed water to seep inside, slowing the boat down and making it harder to maneuver. Another major issue was the clogging of the jet pumps. The Mekong Delta's murky waters were filled with floating vegetation and debris, which frequently blocked the intake system. PBR crews had to stop at least twice per patrol to clear the jets manually, often in dangerous locations where enemy ambushes were a constant threat. To address these problems, the Navy introduced an improved version, the PBR Mark II, in 1967. This model was 6 inches longer for better stability, equipped with a more powerful diesel engine, fitted with aluminum gunnels to protect the hull from damage. Despite these upgrades, the PBR still relied more on speed and maneuverability rather than armor. Soldiers even stripped away non-essential equipment to make the boat lighter and faster. By the end of the war, 750 PBRs had been built, proving how important they were in river warfare. The PBR was the backbone of Task Force 116, a specialized U.S. Navy unit created to take control of the Mekong Delta's waterways. The mission, known as Operation Game Warden, aimed to disrupt Viet Cong supply routes, patrol major rivers, and stop enemy movements. PBRs patrolled the rivers day and night, often for 18-hour shifts. Their job was to inspect boats for weapons, enforce curfews, and ambush enemy vessels. They usually operated in pairs, with one boat conducting the search while the other provided cover in case of an attack. Inspections were always performed away from the shore to avoid ambushes. The PBRs played a crucial role in delivering and extracting Navy SEAL teams for secret missions deep behind enemy lines. They were also used to lay mines, provide fire support for ground troops, and escort supply convoys. Their ability to move fast and respond quickly made them a valuable asset in jungle warfare. A typical PBR crew consisted of 4 men: a boat captain, an engineer, a gunner's mate, a seaman. At first, only officers and chief petty officers served as captains, but as the war progressed, younger enlisted sailors were given command, an unusual practice in the Navy. These crews became highly skilled, able to switch roles and operate any part of the boat if needed. The PBRs were not just boats. They became a symbol of the U.S. Navy's ability to adapt to unconventional warfare. The Viet Cong, VC, were experts at guerrilla warfare, setting up ambushes along riverbanks and using small boats to blend in with civilians. PBR patrols had to be highly disciplined, following strict tactics to survive in these hostile waters. A standard patrol consisted of 2 PBRs operating together. One boat would approach a suspicious vessel at an angle, keeping all its weapons aimed at the target. The second boat stayed at a distance, ready to provide cover if an attack occurred. Patrols avoided coming too close to the shoreline, as enemy forces often hid in the jungle, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Despite being heavily armed, PBRs had strict rules of engagement. They could only fire if fired upon first. Warning shots were allowed if a boat refused to stop, but crews could not open fire unless they were under attack. This meant the enemy often had the element of surprise, choosing when and where to engage. Another major limitation was that PBRs were not designed for heavy combat. If attacked from the shore, their orders were to retreat and call for air or artillery support. However, some crews ignored this and engaged in direct firefights, sometimes with devastating results for the enemy. Although not invincible, the PBR's speed, firepower, and skilled crews made it one of the most feared patrol boats in the Vietnam War. One of the most legendary PBR battles took place on October 31st, 1966, led by Petty Officer First Class James Williams. Williams was in command of Patrol Boat 105, conducting a routine river patrol when his crew was suddenly attacked by two enemy sampans. Without hesitation, he ordered his men to return fire, quickly sinking one boat and forcing the other to flee. Chasing the escaping vessel, Williams and his crew unknowingly sailed into a deadly trap. As they moved deeper into enemy territory, hidden Viet Cong forces opened fire from the riverbanks with machine guns and rockets. Despite being outnumbered, Williams refused to retreat. Instead, he pushed forward and soon encountered an even larger enemy force, two junks and 8 sampans, all heavily armed. Knowing his boat was vulnerable, Williams took full control of the fight, directing his crew's weapons and maneuvering the PBR to maximize firepower. He continued the assault, destroying over 50 enemy boats and inflicting heavy casualties on the shore. Even when backup arrived, he led the charge, refusing to back down. For his incredible leadership and bravery, Williams was awarded the Medal of Honor, becoming a true legend of the River Patrol forces. His actions showed the fearlessness and skill of PBR crews, proving they could take on overwhelming odds and still emerge victorious. The Patrol Boat Riverine, PBR, played a crucial role in the Vietnam War, changing how the U.S. Navy fought in shallow waters and jungle environments. By 1968, Task Force 116 was conducting up to 70,000 patrol hours per month, significantly reducing Viet Cong activity in the Mekong Delta. However, as part of the Vietnamization program, the U.S. began transferring its military equipment to the South Vietnamese forces. By 1970, nearly all PBRs were handed over to the South Vietnamese Navy, and Task Force 116 was officially dissolved. Even though the war continued, the U.S. Navy's direct involvement in river patrols ended. Despite their short time in service, PBRs left a lasting impact on modern naval warfare. Their success led to new designs for high-speed, shallow-water combat boats, influencing tactics used in later conflicts, including Iraq and Afghanistan. For the sailors who operated them, PBRs were more than just patrol boats. They were a brotherhood of warriors, navigating dangerous waters with skill, courage, and determination. Their black berets became a symbol of elite riverine forces, and their legacy continues in the history of the U.S. Navy. The PBR may be retired, but the stories of its brave crews will never be forgotten. The Patrol Boat Riverine, PBR, was a game-changer in Vietnam, proving that speed, firepower, and the skill could overcome even the toughest challenges. These boats and their brave crews helped control the dangerous waterways of the Mekong Delta, leaving a lasting impact on naval warfare. Though their mission ended in 1970, the legend of the PBRs lives on through the stories of the men who risked everything to patrol the rivers. Their courage and dedication will always be remembered. Thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe to support more stories like this. Stay tuned for the next one.